The text came at 2:47 a.m. I know because I was staring at the ceiling, listening to my wife Delilah's phone buzz against the nightstand like an angry wasp. Again, yoga class running late tonight, babe. Don't wait up. Yoga class at 3 in the morning. Right. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I'm Alex Meyers, 40 years old, and I've been debugging lies longer than I've been debugging code. 20 years in IT security teaches you to spot patterns, anomalies, things that don't belong, like my beautiful wife getting mysterious texts when she thinks I'm asleep, or suddenly caring about her flexibility after 15 years of marriage. Delilah rolled over, her blonde hair catching the moonlight streaming through our bedroom window. Even in sleep, she looked perfect, the kind of perfect that required 2 hours of preparation every morning. The kind of perfect that had been slipping away from me for months, one late-night yoga session at a time. Her phone buzzed again. This time I caught a glimpse of the name before she instinctively grabbed it. Sean Bradford, real estate's golden boy, with his perfect teeth and his perfect tan and his perfect marriage to Monica. At least I thought it was perfect. Apparently I thought a lot of things that weren't true. The next morning, Delilah was humming in the kitchen, making her green smoothie with extra enthusiasm. She wore her favorite sundress, the blue one that made her eyes pop, the one she usually saved for special occasions. "Good morning, handsome," she said, kissing my cheek. Her perfume was different, expensive. "Morning," I mumbled, pouring coffee. "How was yoga?" "Intense. Really worked up a sweat." She didn't meet my eyes. "Actually, I have some exciting news. Lauren and Vanessa want me to join them on a girls' trip to the Bahamas next week. Just 4 days. I know it's short notice, but..." "The Bahamas?" I set down my mug harder than necessary. "Since when do you vacation with Lauren and Vanessa?" "Since I realized I need some girl time. We've been so focused on work and routine, I think some sun and relaxation would be good for me, for us." The way she said us made my stomach turn. There was no us in her equation anymore. "How much is this going to cost?" "Don't worry about money, Alex. I've been saving up. Everything's already booked." Already booked. Of course it was. That afternoon, while Delilah was at her actual job, marketing manager for a boutique firm downtown, I did what any suspicious husband with advanced computer skills would do. I checked our credit card statements. No charges for Bahamas flights, no hotel bookings, nothing. But there was something interesting, a charge at Martinelli's, the expensive lingerie store downtown, $247, last Tuesday, the same day she claimed she was working late on the Morrison account. I called Martinelli's, pretending to be confused about a charge on my statement. "Oh yes, Mr. Meyers. Your wife purchased our deluxe romance package, very popular with ladies planning special getaways." Special getaways. My coffee turned to acid in my stomach. That evening, I watched Delilah pack. She folded tiny bikinis and flowing dresses with the care of someone preparing for something important, something that mattered. "You'll miss me, won't you?" she asked, not looking up from her suitcase. "Like a hole in the head," I said. It was supposed to be a joke, but it came out flat. She laughed anyway, that musical laugh that used to make my heart skip. Now it just sounded hollow. "I'll text you pictures, make you jealous of all the fun I'm having." "I'm sure you will." The next morning, I drove her to the airport. She kissed me goodbye at the curb, her lips soft and familiar and lying. "I love you, Alex." "Love you too." We were both lying now. I didn't drive away immediately. Instead, I parked in the short-term lot and walked back to the departure area. Call it paranoia, call it intuition, call it the last gasps of a marriage circling the drain. I found a spot near the security checkpoint and waited. At 11:30 a.m., I saw him. Sean Bradford, looking like he'd stepped out of a men's fashion magazine, wheeling a leather suitcase and checking his phone. He walked with the confidence of a man who'd never been told no, who'd never had to work for anything that mattered. At 11:45, Delilah appeared. She'd changed clothes since I dropped her off. Gone was the casual travel outfit, replaced by a form-fitting dress that screamed romantic getaway. She practically glowed as she spotted Sean, her face lighting up in a way I hadn't seen in years. They didn't kiss, too public, too risky, but the way they looked at each other was worse than any physical contact. It was intimate, familiar, like they'd been doing this dance for months. I watched them disappear through security together, and something inside me crystallized. Not heartbreak, that would come later. This was colder, sharper. This was the moment I stopped being a victim and started being something else entirely. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my contacts until I found the number I was looking for. Monica Bradford, Sean's wife. We'd met at neighborhood barbecues, exchanged pleasantries at the grocery store. She was sharp, funny, underestimated by everyone who knew her, including apparently her cheating husband. The phone rang 3 times before she answered. "Monica, it's Alex Meyers. I think we need to talk." Monica's voice was carefully controlled when she answered, the kind of control that comes from years of practice hiding what you really think. "Alex, is everything okay?" "That depends on your definition of okay. Are you free for coffee? I have something to show you." 30 minutes later, we sat across from each other at Brew and Bean, the little cafe downtown where nobody we knew would think to look. Monica looked exactly like she always did, put together but not trying too hard. Auburn hair pulled back in a practical ponytail, wearing jeans and a sweater that probably cost more than it looked. She studied the photos on my phone with the same expression she might use to review a grocery list. Sean and Delilah at the airport, Sean and Delilah checking in at the gate, Sean and Delilah boarding flight 447 to Nassau. "Well," she said finally, handing back my phone, "that explains the new cologne." "You're taking this awfully well." "Am I?" She stirred her latte with mechanical precision. "How exactly should I be taking it, Alex? Should I cry, scream, throw things?" "Most people would be upset." "Most people haven't been married to Sean Bradford for 12 years. She looked up at me then, and I saw something dangerous flickering in her green eyes. "Most people haven't spent 12 years watching their husband charm every woman in a 50-mile radius while pretending it was just his friendly personality." "You knew?" "I suspected. There's a difference." She leaned back in her chair. "Sean thinks I'm stupid. Sweet, supportive Monica who handles the house and the social calendar and looks the other way when he works late 3 nights a week. He has no idea that I've been documenting every suspicious charge, every unexplained absence, every lie for the past 2 years. This was not the Monica I'd expected to find. This Monica was sharp, calculating, and apparently just as angry as I was. "So what do you want to do about it?" She smiled, and it wasn't a nice smile. "I want to ruin them." That afternoon, Monica and I sat in my home office, surrounded by printouts and laptop screens. She'd brought a manila folder thick with evidence, credit card statements, hotel receipts, photographs she'd taken of Sean's car parked in suspicious places. "Your wife is just the latest," Monica said, spreading papers across my desk. "There was Jennifer from the country club last spring. Before that, some client named Rebecca. Sean has a type, married, successful, looking for excitement." "How long has this been going on?" "The cheating?" "Years. But Delilah specifically? I'd say about 4 months. That's when he started buying new clothes, working out more, taking those mysterious phone calls in the garage." I stared at a receipt from a jewelry store, a necklace purchased 3 weeks ago. Delilah had been wearing something new lately, a delicate gold chain I'd assumed was a gift to herself. "The question is," Monica continued, "what are we going to do about it?" "We?" "Alex, they're on a romantic getaway in paradise, probably toasting to their clever deception right now. Meanwhile, we're sitting here like fools, picking up the pieces. Don't you think it's time we stopped playing defense?" She was right. I'd spent months being reactive, suspicious, hurt. It was time to take control. "What did you have in mind?" Monica's smile was pure predator. "How do you feel about a vacation?" The plan was elegant in its simplicity. Monica had Sean's itinerary. He'd left it on his desk at home, probably assuming she'd never think to look. They were staying at the Atlantis Resort, in a suite overlooking the harbor. 4 days and 3 nights of what they thought was secret paradise. "We can be on a plane tomorrow morning," Monica said. "I've already checked. There are rooms available. Won't they see us?" "Not if we're careful. It's a big resort, Alex. And besides, they'll be too wrapped up in each other to notice anything else." That evening, I called in sick to work and booked my flight. Monica handled her own arrangements. Apparently, she had her own credit card that Sean knew nothing about, funded by a small inheritance from her grandmother. "Emergency money," she explained. "I never thought I'd need it for this. But here we are." As I packed, I found myself thinking about Delilah. Was she thinking about me at all? Did she feel guilty, lying on some pristine beach with another woman's husband? Or was she too caught up in the fantasy to care about the reality she'd left behind? My phone buzzed, a text from Delilah. "Missing you already. The resort is gorgeous. Wish you were here." Attached was a selfie of her on a balcony, sunset painting the sky behind her. She looked radiant, happy in a way I hadn't seen in months. It should have broken my heart. Instead, it just made me angrier. I typed back, "Looks amazing. Have fun, sweetheart." Then I finished packing. Monica picked me up at 6 a.m., driving her sensible Honda instead of Sean's flashy BMW. She wore oversized sunglasses and had pulled her hair into a messy bun, already beginning the transformation from Sean's wife to someone else entirely. "Ready for this?" she asked as we pulled into the airport parking garage. "Ready." But as we walked toward the terminal, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was crossing a line I'd never be able to uncross. Up until now, I'd been the wronged party, the victim, the one with the moral high ground. In about 4 hours, I'd be something else entirely. The flight to Nassau was smooth, giving me too much time to think. Monica sat beside me, reading a thriller novel and occasionally making notes in a small notebook. She'd thought of everything: fake names for the hotel registration, a cover story about being college friends on a reunion trip, even a detailed plan for avoiding Sean and Delilah while gathering intelligence. "You've done this before," I said. "Planned elaborate schemes to catch my cheating husband? No, this is a first." She didn't look up from her book. "But I've been thinking about it for a long time. What happens after? I mean, after we do whatever we're going to do?" Now she did look at me, and her expression was unreadable. "After, Alex, we go home. We file for divorce. We take them for everything they're worth, and we move on with our lives." "Just like that?" "Just like that." The plane began its descent into Nassau, and I watched the crystal-clear water rush up to meet us. Somewhere down there, my wife was playing house with another man, thinking she was clever, thinking she was safe. She was about to learn otherwise. The Atlantis resort was exactly as advertised: a sprawling complex of coral-colored buildings, cascading pools, and manicured beaches that looked like something from a travel magazine. The kind of place people came to forget their real lives, to pretend they were someone else entirely. Perfect for what we had in mind. Monica and I checked in as college friends celebrating a reunion. She was Sarah, I was Mike. The desk clerk barely glanced at our IDs, too busy managing the chaos of peak tourist season to care about 2 more guests. Our rooms were on the 7th floor, with a view of the marina. Sean and Delilah, according to Monica's intelligence, were in the ocean suite on the 12th floor. Close enough to monitor, far enough to avoid accidental encounters. "First things first," Monica said as we settled into my room to plan. "We need to establish their routine, where they eat, when they go to the beach, what activities they've booked." "How do we do that without being seen?" "Leave that to me." Monica had changed into a flowing sundress and sandals, her hair loose around her shoulders. She looked like a different person, younger, more carefree. The transformation was remarkable. "I'm going to make friends with the concierge staff," she explained. "A little charm, a few generous tips, and suddenly everyone wants to help the nice lady plan the perfect vacation." While Monica worked her magic downstairs, I positioned myself at the pool bar with a clear view of the elevators. If Sean and Delilah were going to venture out of their love nest, they'd have to pass through the main lobby. I didn't have to wait long. At 2:30 p.m., the elevator doors opened and out walked my wife, looking like a goddess in a white bikini and sheer cover-up. Her skin was already golden from yesterday's sun, and she moved with the languid confidence of a woman who knew she was being admired. Sean followed a step behind, his hand resting possessively on the small of her back. He wore board shorts and a linen shirt, playing the part of the successful businessman on vacation. They looked perfect together, like they belonged in this paradise of excess and indulgence. I watched them claim 2 prime spots by the infinity pool, watched Sean order drinks with the casual arrogance of someone who'd never had to check a price, watched Delilah laugh at something he whispered in her ear, her hand trailing down his chest in a gesture that was intimate and familiar and completely wrong. My phone buzzed. A text from Monica. "Dinner reservation at Nobu tonight, 8 p.m. Couples massage tomorrow at 2, snorkeling excursion Thursday morning." They're not hiding very well. I type back, "Good work. What's next?" "Time to make our presence known. Meet me at the beach bar in 20 minutes. And Alex? Smile. We're supposed to be having fun." The beach bar was crowded with tourists nursing tropical drinks and working on their tans. Monica had already secured a prime table with a view of the water, and more importantly, a view of Sean and Delilah's pool setup. "2 piña coladas," she told the server, then leaned across the table toward me. "We need to look like we're having the time of our lives." "Are we?" "We will be." She raised her glass in a toast. "To new beginnings." I clinked my glass against hers, and for the first time in months, I felt something that might have been hope. Or maybe it was just the rum. "So, what's the plan?" "Phase 1 is psychological warfare," Monica said, pulling out her phone. "We're going to plant seeds of doubt, make them paranoid, ruin their perfect little fantasy." She angled her phone toward the water and snapped a selfie of us, her head tilted against my shoulder, both of us grinning like we didn't have a care in the world. What are you doing? Creating evidence. She showed me the photo. We looked good together, relaxed, happy, like a couple who actually enjoyed each other's company. I'm going to post this on social media, tag the location, let our respective social circles start asking questions. It was brilliant. By the time Sean and Delilah got home, half the neighborhood would know that their spouses had been vacationing together while they were supposedly on separate trips. Won't they see it? Not if they're too busy with each other to check their phones. And even if they do, she shrugged. What are they going to say? How dare you vacation together while we're having an affair? Phase 1 was just the beginning. Over the next 2 hours, Monica and I documented our romantic getaway with the thoroughness of professional photographers. Sunset drinks, beach walks, intimate dinners, each photo more damning than the last. You're really good at this, I said, as she directed me to lean closer for another shot. I've had a lot of practice pretending to be happy with a man who doesn't deserve me, she replied. The difference is, this time it's not entirely pretending. There was something in her voice that made me look at her more closely. Monica Bradford, Sean's overlooked wife, was turning out to be full of surprises. That evening, we dressed for dinner at the resort's most exclusive restaurant. Monica wore a black dress that hugged her curves and made her look like a movie star. I'd packed my best suit, and for the first time in years, I felt like someone worth looking at. Remember, Monica said as we walked through the lobby, we're college sweethearts, rekindling an old romance. We're giddy, we're obvious, and we're completely smitten with each other. How smitten are we talking? She answered by linking her arm through mine and leaning into me like she couldn't bear to be separated by even an inch of space. That's smitten. The restaurant was dimly lit and intimate, with tables scattered across multiple levels overlooking the harbor. We were seated at a prime spot near the window, and I had a perfect view of the entire dining room. There, Monica whispered, nodding toward a corner table. Don't look directly. I didn't need to look. I could feel Delilah's presence like a physical weight, but I forced myself to focus on Monica, to play the part of the devoted companion. Tell me about yourself, Sarah, I said, loud enough to be overheard. I feel like I'm seeing you in a whole new light. Monica laughed, a genuine sound that made several nearby diners turn to look. You always were a charmer, Mike. I can't believe it took us this long to give this a real chance. We ordered wine, shared appetizers, and played our roles with the dedication of method actors. And all the while, I was hyper-aware of Delilah sitting 30 feet away, probably wondering if she was seeing things. Halfway through our entrees, Monica's phone buzzed. Text message, she said, glancing at the screen. From Sean. Having an amazing time. Miss you. She looked up at me with a wicked grin. Should I respond? What would Sarah say? She typed quickly, then showed me the message before sending, Miss you too. Having dinner with Mike at this gorgeous restaurant. Feels like old times. Think that'll get his attention? Oh, it'll get his attention. The question is whether he'll have the balls to do anything about it. We didn't have to wait long for our answer. 5 minutes later, I caught movement in my peripheral vision. Sean was walking toward our table, his face a careful mask of confusion and concern. Monica, he said, stopping beside our table, what are you doing here? Monica looked up with perfectly feigned surprise. Sean! Oh my God! What a coincidence! This is Mike. I told you about him, remember? My college friend. We decided to take a little reunion trip. Sean's eyes moved between us, trying to process what he was seeing. Behind him, I could see Delilah watching from their table, her face pale in the candlelight. I thought you were visiting your sister in Atlanta, Sean said. Change of plans. Monica's smile was radiant and completely innocent. You know how spontaneous I can be. What about you? I thought you were at that real estate conference in Miami. For a moment, Sean looked like a man drowning in his own lies. Then his salesman training kicked in, and he managed a weak smile. Conference ended early. Decided to extend the trip, do a little networking. How wonderful. You should join us for dessert. I'd love for you to meet Mike properly. The last thing Sean wanted was to sit at our table, but he was trapped by social convention and his own deception. He glanced back at Delilah, who was now staring openly at our little drama. Actually, I'm here with a client. Big potential deal. Rain check? Of course. Business first. Right, honey? The endearment hit Sean like a physical blow. He mumbled something about seeing us later and retreated to his table, where Delilah was waiting with questions he couldn't answer honestly. Monica and I finished our dinner in companionable silence, both of us savoring the moment. We'd fired the first shot, and it had hit its target perfectly. Phase 1 complete, Monica said as we left the restaurant. How do you feel? I thought about it as we walked through the resort lobby, past the fountains and the marble floors and the other couples who were here for legitimate romantic getaways. I feel like we're just getting started. The next morning brought a text from Delilah that was trying so hard to sound casual it practically screamed desperation. Having the most amazing time with the girls. Met some interesting people at dinner last night. Small world, right? How are things at home? I showed the message to Monica over breakfast. We were sitting on the terrace of the resort's main restaurant, sharing fresh fruit and coffee while planning our next move. She's fishing, Monica said, trying to figure out what you know without admitting what she's doing. What should I tell her? The truth, just not all of it. I typed back. Things are great here. Actually taking a little vacation myself. Sometimes you need to get away to gain perspective, you know? Monica nodded approvingly. Vague enough to make her paranoid, specific enough to worry her. What about Sean? Has he said anything? Oh, he's trying. Sent me 3 texts this morning asking about my friend Mike and whether I'm being smart about traveling with someone I barely know. She laughed. If he only knew how well I know you now. It was true. In less than 24 hours, Monica and I had developed an easy rapport that felt more natural than anything I'd shared with Delilah in months. She was quick-witted, observant, and had a dry sense of humor that matched my own. Under different circumstances, in a different life, we might have actually been friends. Or maybe something more. So what's phase 2? I asked. Phase 2 is where we get creative. Monica had spent the morning chatting with resort staff, and her investment in charm and generous tips was paying dividends. She'd learned that Sean and Delilah had booked a private cabana by the adults-only pool for the afternoon, and that they had dinner reservations at the resort's most romantic restaurant. They're not even trying to be discreet anymore, she said. Yesterday they were at least pretending to be casual acquaintances. Today they're acting like honeymooners. Maybe seeing us together made them feel safer, like they are not the only ones with secrets. Probably, which makes this the perfect time to escalate. Monica's plan for phase 2 was beautifully devious. While Sean and Delilah were enjoying their private cabana, we would be enjoying a very public display of affection at the main pool. More photos, more social media posts, more evidence of our romantic reunion. But the real masterstroke was the spa appointment. I booked us a couple's massage, Monica explained. Same time as theirs, in the treatment room right next door. The walls are thin, and I've already made friends with the spa coordinator. She's going to make sure our masseuses are the chattiest ones on staff. What's the point? The point, Alex, is that by the end of the day, half the resort staff will think we're the most romantic couple they've ever seen, and the other half will be gossiping about the 2 married couples who are obviously cheating on their spouses with each other. It was psychological warfare at its finest. Even if Sean and Delilah never heard the gossip directly, they'd feel the weight of it in every sideways glance, every whispered conversation that stopped when they approached. The couple's massage was an exercise in method acting that would have impressed professionals. Monica and I lay on adjacent tables, holding hands between the beds while our masseuses worked. We talked about our history, our connection, our plans for the future. I never thought I'd feel this way again, Monica said, her voice carrying through the thin walls. After my divorce, I thought I was done with love. Your divorce? I played along. I thought you said it wasn't final yet. It will be soon. My lawyer says it's just a matter of paperwork now. Sean's not contesting anything. I think he's too guilty about his affairs to put up a fight. In the next room, I heard what sounded like someone choking on their herbal tea. What about your wife? Monica continued. Delilah, right? Are you sure she's okay with you moving on? Delilah made her choice when she started sleeping with her real estate agent, I said. I'm just returning the favor. The choking sound got louder. After the spa, Monica and I retreated to the beach to plan our evening strategy. We'd pushed hard today, and the stress was starting to show on our targets. Sean had been jumpy at lunch, constantly checking his phone and looking over his shoulder. Delilah had seemed distracted during their poolside afternoon, more focused on scanning the resort for signs of us than on enjoying Sean's company. They're cracking, Monica observed. The question is, what do we want them to do about it? What do you mean? Do we want them to confront us, confess everything, cut their trip short, and run home? She leaned back in her beach chair, sunglasses hiding her eyes. Because we're at a decision point, Alex. We can keep playing games, or we can go for the kill. What does going for the kill look like? Monica smiled, and there was nothing playful about it. It looks like making sure they never recover from this. Not just their relationship, their reputations, their social standing, their sense of security, everything. The intensity in her voice should have worried me. Instead, I found it exciting. For months, I'd been the passive victim of Delilah's deception. Now I had the chance to be something else entirely. What did you have in mind? Tomorrow is their last full day here. They have that snorkeling excursion in the morning, and then they're probably planning some grand romantic finale for their last night. Monica pulled out her phone. I think it's time we crashed their party. She showed me what she'd been working on, a carefully crafted social media post that would go live tomorrow evening, just as Sean and Delilah were sitting down to their farewell dinner. It was a photo of Monica and me on the beach at sunset, looking deeply into each other's eyes. The caption read, "Sometimes the best things in life come from the worst situations. Thank you, Alex, for showing me what real love looks like. Here's to new beginnings and leaving the past behind. Divorced, die chasse new love, your Bahamas sar blessed." You're going to post that while they're still here? I'm going to post that, and then we're going to make sure they see it, in person. The plan was audacious, risky, and probably cruel. It was also exactly what they deserved. Are you sure about this, Monica? Once we do this, there's no going back. She looked at me over her sunglasses, and I saw something in her eyes that might have been pain, or anger, or just exhaustion from years of pretending everything was fine. Alex, I've been going back for 12 years. I'm tired of going back. That evening, we had dinner at a small restaurant off the resort, away from the possibility of running into Sean and Delilah. We needed to plan tomorrow's finale, but more than that, we needed to talk about what came after. What happens when we get home? I asked over conch fritters and local beer. We file for divorce, both of us. We take them for everything we can legally get, and we move on with our lives. Together? The question hung in the air between us. Monica set down her fork and looked at me seriously. I don't know, Alex. This whole thing started as revenge, but somewhere along the way, it became something else. At least for me. She paused. How do you feel about that? I thought about it. Monica was smart, funny, attractive, and had shown more loyalty to me in 3 days than my wife had in 3 years. Under normal circumstances, the answer would be obvious. But these weren't normal circumstances. I think, I said carefully, that we should focus on getting through tomorrow first. Everything else can wait. Monica nodded, but I could see disappointment flicker across her face. You're right. Tomorrow first. We walked back to the resort in comfortable silence, both of us lost in our own thoughts. Tomorrow would be the culmination of everything we'd worked toward. By this time, tomorrow night, Sean and Delilah's perfect little fantasy would be in ruins, and Monica and I would be on a plane back to reality. The question was, what kind of reality would we be returning to? As we reached the lobby, Monica stopped and turned to me. Alex, whatever happens tomorrow, whatever we decide about the future, I want you to know that these 3 days have been the happiest I've felt in years. Before I could respond, she kissed me. Not for show, not for the cameras or the gossip or the revenge, just for us. And for the first time since this whole thing started, I wondered if maybe we were the ones who deserved a happy ending. The morning of reckoning dawned clear and bright, with a kind of perfect Caribbean weather that made everything seem possible. Monica and I met for breakfast on the terrace, both of us trying to act normal while internally preparing for what was essentially a declaration of war. They left for their snorkeling trip 20 minutes ago, Monica reported, checking her phone. Won't be back until 2 p.m. That gives us time to set up. Set up meant finalizing our social media strategy, coordinating with the resort staff Monica had befriended, and preparing for the evening's grand finale. We'd reserved a table at the same restaurant where Sean and Delilah would be having their farewell dinner, close enough to ensure they'd see us, far enough to avoid immediate confrontation. Are you nervous? Monica asked as we walked through the resort lobby. Terrified, I admitted. You? Excited. She squeezed my hand. I've been planning this moment for so long, I can't believe it's actually happening. The afternoon passed in a blur of preparation and anticipation. We spent time by the pool, taking more photos, building the narrative of our romantic reunion. Monica posted carefully timed updates to her social media accounts, each one more intimate than the last. At 4 p.m., she showed me the responses. Lauren wants to know who the mystery man is, she said, scrolling through comments. Your neighbor Jenny is asking if you're okay because this seems sudden. And my sister just called Sean asking if he knows I'm in the Bahamas with another man. What did Sean say? According to my sister, he claimed he knew all about it and was happy I was moving on. Monica laughed. The idiot is trying to cover his own tracks, but he's just making it worse. At 6 p.m., we began getting ready for dinner. Monica had brought a stunning red dress that made her look like a movie star, and I'd packed my best suit. We were dressing for battle, and we both knew it. Last chance to back out, I said as we met in the hallway outside our rooms. Not a chance in hell. The restaurant was already busy when we arrived, filled with couples enjoying romantic dinners and families celebrating vacation milestones. Our table had a perfect view of the entire dining room, including the corner booth where Sean and Delilah would be sitting. There they are, Monica murmured as the hostess led a familiar couple to their table. Sean and Delilah looked like something out of a travel brochure. Him in a white linen shirt and khakis, her in a flowing sundress that caught the evening breeze. They were tan, relaxed, and completely absorbed in each other. For a moment, watching my wife laugh at something Sean whispered in her ear, I felt a pang of something that might have been loss. This was the woman I'd married, the woman I'd planned to grow old with. Seeing her this happy, even if it was with someone else, was harder than I'd expected. Second thoughts? Monica asked, reading my expression. No, I said and meant it. Just saying goodbye, I guess. Monica reached across the table and took my hand. To new beginnings, she said, raising her wine glass. To new beginnings. We were halfway through our appetizers when Monica's phone buzzed with a notification. She glanced at the screen and smiled. Showtime? She opened her social media app and navigated to the post she'd prepared earlier, the sunset photo with the caption about new love and leaving the past behind. Her finger hovered over the share button. Ready? I looked across the restaurant at Delilah, who was feeding Sean a bite of her dessert, completely unaware that her world was about to implode. Do it. Monica hit share, and within seconds, her phone started buzzing with notifications. Comments, likes, shares. Our fake relationship was going viral among our social circles. How long before they see it? I asked. Not long. Sean's addicted to social media, and someone's bound to tag him or send it directly. We didn't have to wait long. At 8:47 p.m., I saw Sean's face go pale as he stared at his phone. He showed the screen to Delilah, whose expression shifted from confusion to horror in the space of a heartbeat. They were both looking at us now, Sean with barely contained rage, Delilah with something that might have been heartbreak. For a moment, the four of us just stared at each other across the crowded restaurant, two couples whose lives had become impossibly entangled. Then Sean stood up. This should be interesting, Monica murmured. Sean walked toward our table with the measured pace of a man trying to control his temper. Behind him, Delilah followed reluctantly, her face flushed with embarrassment. Monica, Sean said when he reached our table. Alex, what a surprise to see you here. Hello, Sean, Monica replied pleasantly. Delilah, you both look wonderful. The Bahamas must agree with you. Cut the crap, Sean snapped. What the hell is this? He held up his phone, showing Monica's post. It's exactly what it looks like, I said, standing to face him. Monica and I are together. Together? Delilah's voice was barely a whisper. Alex, what are you talking about? I'm talking about the fact that my wife is on vacation with another woman's husband while I'm supposed to be sitting at home like an idiot, waiting for her to come back and lie to my face about her girls' trip. The restaurant had gone quiet around us. Other diners were pretending not to watch while hanging on every word. You followed us here? Sean's voice was getting louder. What kind of sick... The kind who's tired of being played for a fool, Monica interrupted, standing to join us. The kind who's tired of pretending not to notice when her husband comes home smelling like another woman's perfume. Monica, I can explain. Explain what, Sean? Explain why you've been lying to me for months. Explain why you think I'm too stupid to notice when you're having an affair. Monica's voice was steady, but I could see her hands shaking. Or maybe you want to explain why you chose my friend's husband's wife for your latest conquest. She's not your friend, Delilah said suddenly. We barely know each other. You're right, Monica agreed. We don't know each other, but I know you're sleeping with my husband, and you know I'm sleeping with yours, so I guess that makes us even. The silence that followed was deafening. Around us, the restaurant had completely stopped pretending not to listen. Even the servers had paused in their work to watch the drama unfold. This is insane, Sean said finally. Monica, you're making a scene. Can we please discuss this privately? Privately, Monica laughed, and it wasn't a pleasant sound. Like you and Delilah discussed your affair privately? Like you discussed it privately when you booked this romantic getaway on our joint credit card? Sean's face went white. You looked at the credit card statements? I've been looking at the credit card statements for 2 years, Sean. I've been documenting every lie, every suspicious charge, every night you came home late with lipstick on your collar. Monica pulled out her phone again, including the receipts from this trip, which I've already forwarded to my lawyer. Your lawyer? Now Sean looked genuinely panicked. My divorce lawyer. Did you think I was going to let you humiliate me forever? Delilah turned to me, tears streaming down her face. Alex, please, can we talk about this? Alone? What's to talk about, Delilah? You made your choice. You chose him. I gestured toward Sean. You chose to lie to me, to sneak around behind my back, to throw away 15 years of marriage for what? A few months of excitement with someone else's husband? It's not like that. It's exactly like that. I pulled out my own phone and showed her the photos I'd taken at the airport, the evidence I'd been gathering for days. You want to tell me what it's like? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're having the time of your life. The fight went out of her then. Delilah sank into the nearest chair, her perfect vacation dress suddenly looking wilted and sad. What do you want from us? Sean asked, his salesman's instincts finally kicking in. Money. We can work something out. We don't want your money, Sean, I said. We want our lives back, our dignity, our self-respect. And our freedom, Monica added, which is why you'll both be hearing from our lawyers when we get home. Sean and Delilah exchanged a look, and I could see them both realizing that their perfect little fantasy was over. Not just the vacation, but everything. Their affair, their marriages, their carefully constructed lies. It was all crashing down around them. The funny thing is, Monica continued, if you'd just been honest from the beginning, this might have ended differently. But you chose to lie, to sneak around, to treat us like we were too stupid to figure it out. And now, I added, you get to live with the consequences. Without another word, Monica and I walked out of the restaurant, leaving Sean and Delilah to face the stares and whispers of a roomful of strangers who just witnessed their public humiliation. In the lobby, Monica turned to me with tears in her eyes. It's over, she said. It's really over. I pulled her into my arms, and for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe again. Yes, I said, it's over. But as we stood there in the marble lobby of a luxury resort, surrounded by the wreckage of 2 marriages and the uncertain promise of whatever came next, I realized that ending wasn't the same as beginning. The hardest part was still ahead of us.